Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I actually think this is going to be an extremely important video. Now, I was completely unaware of the work that Dr. Seuss did prior to being Dr. Seuss. And as a child, Dr. Seuss was actually part of the curriculum, as I'm sure many people from my generation, their kids know. These are some of the first books you read and are encouraged to read in school. Hands down, anybody who argues otherwise is pretty much a liar, okay? So, unfortunately, some of the things I'm going to share with you today are extremely disturbing. I do not endorse them. It's going to be tough for me even to show because not only do I not like them, but I wonder how far the banning is going to go and the selective outrage. Now, I don't like sanitizing history. I think in many cases you can separate the man or the woman from their work, from their body of work, or some of their views and some of their work from other parts of their work. And just because you enjoy one thing doesn't mean you endorse another. Now, before I get into this, I really want to point out that, most people aren't even going to be able to tell you what happened in Charlottesville, for instance. They can't tell you exactly what was going on, what statue caused the ruckus, right? And by ruckus, I mean somebody's death. I shouldn't be so light about it. But it was Robert E. Lee, okay? And some of these statues, this is still going on today. They're being called takedown. This is May the 3rd, just, what is that, yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. And a judge ruled just yesterday that they're war monuments. And I got to tell you, I agree. They're war monuments. I learned about Stonewall Jackson and Robert E. Lee when I was in school. And we have to sometimes, I believe, take the times into context. Now, that doesn't mean they necessarily have to be left there. I think that the idea that perhaps it is time for them to move on to a museum may be the correct thing to do. But at the same time, if we're going to do things like that, what about the entire body of work of Dr. Seuss? And now I'm going to show you some of this stuff. So it's starting to make the rounds in a biography about him that during World War II, he made some, you can read the headline, but I'm going to show you the cartoon. And the cartoon is absolutely disturbing. It's almost beyond disturbing, really. I'll be honest. And as you read through this thing, you understand that, first of all, during World War II, he was huge into propaganda for the government, worked with the government. He was actually, let's take that down. He was actually Jewish. So, of course, he was very in on the anti-Hitler and World War II effort, period. Now, his portrayals of Asians otherwise, we're going to show you some of those in a minute, are not great. And before we get down to, this is the beginning of it. I don't want to scoot down here. But let's look at some of this stuff, okay? This is his portrayal of Asians, and they're coming into the country, TNT, very stereotypical at the time. Do I even have to say anything here? Obviously not great. But what really disturbed me is this image here, and I want to focus on it just for a minute. You have these upper class people, kind of, small jokes, going to the store. And then down here, you obviously have what is a extremely racist portrayal of black people. And it's obviously set in an era when slavery is no longer legal. He drew these in the World War II era. And it says, take home a high quality for your woodpile. Now, that, I guess, can be interpreted a couple of ways. You could say that, he's going to buy them as, for instance, slaves to chop wood and bring them in there, or perhaps worse, perhaps, a kind of lynching. So this right here, this guy's unapologetic many, many, many years. In fact, Josephine Baker, he went to go see her. Now, if you don't know who Josephine Baker is, famous banana dress. This is not as racy as it got. There's topless photos, videos, but she, pioneer of her time. You know, Sexuality amongst black women was not something that was really promoted. So again, really, really revolutionary stuff. And in this biography, he's quoted as calling her a, I'm not going to say it, but very similar to the cartoon. Okay? So now we have to ask ourselves, this man is in schools today. He makes Hollywood hundreds of millions, maybe billions of dollars a year. I couldn't really tell you. Think about all the properties that Dr. Seuss is a part of. It's a staple. For instance, the Grinch. And by the way, the Grinch was extremely modernized. It was used to kind of push a social justice warrior agenda, in my opinion. I went and saw that. I took my niece to it on Christmas. And here was my big problem with the Grinch, okay? There were parts I liked. In fact, in the very beginning, I thought, wow, this is going to be a real Christmas story. They were singing a religious Christmas carol, and I was like, all right. And believe me, I'm not Mr. Religious. I'm not here to impose my beliefs on anybody else, but I don't crap on religion either. And I know the original story, and we're talking about a Christmas story. So, hey, I think this was a good start to it. But then it gets to the mom, and it looks like it's working mother. Okay, I get it. She's on a bus. But then she gets home. And the daughter, Zuzu, she's about, but then she has, was it twins? I think she had twins. It was at least a baby. I don't know. It's been a while since I saw it. And no one's asking where the dad is at all. It's never even mentioned once in the film. You would think if there's just a baby there, it can't be that many Christmases that dad isn't home. So what? Why wasn't the question even asked? And aside from the kind of promotions, I mean, again, you look at the Lorax and the environment, and that was a big hit. And again, I'm not trying to say, I hate environmentalists, I'll kill all the trees. No, absolutely not. But at the same time, it works into this agenda of trying to charge you for a carbon tax. And I mean, forget about just white privilege and white guilt, but human guilt. I mean, all that stuff is promoted through this. And again, it's indoctrinated into just about every single child in this country. Yet, I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And why won't it go anywhere? Well, again, it's worth a lot of money to a lot of people. Think about the dollar signs on this. I mean, for instance, Robert E. Lee isn't worth a lot of money to a lot of people. Stonewall Jackson isn't worth a lot of money to a lot of people. And the Yankees, just recently. And I don't necessarily think this is a bad move, but God bless America, a staple at the park for decade upon decade upon decade. Kate Smith taken down. Why? She sang some really racist, terrible shit. And in that regard, I understand why we're moving on. I think there are things that are vile and need to be re-looked at. But I also think that selective outrage and mob rule is not the way to go. And when we look at what happened in Charlottesville, it was politicized to a point where we're still hearing about it today. Think about that. Headlines still today used by politicians when they talk about Trump saying there were fine people on both sides, but they never talk about how he disavowed all the neo-Nazis and the white supremacists, and that a lot of people were out there just because of that statue. No one wants to talk about that in the media. Can we have a discussion of what history we're allowed to destroy and forget? Or again, it doesn't mean it has to stay there, but shouldn't we preserve it, warts and all? Isn't that a better idea? Isn't more speech better? And I really think that this is more prevalent than ever. After all, some of you may know this. If you haven't seen my videos on it, go check them out. But recently with the large ban over at Facebook, right? Well, yeah, they banned 3 of my old pages I had not posted on in years. Fabled Enemies, Invisible Empire, and Punk Rock Politics. I want to say 2008, 2010, maybe 2011. Hadn't posted them in 5+ years. And they say things that are hateful, threatening, and obscene are not allowed. Well, I'd say every single one of those images would be hateful to somebody, maybe obscene, especially the one when you're talking about throwing, buy somebody for your wood pile. Huh? And now I'm not allowed to post on my personal fan page, which I guess, oh, thank you so much for allowing me to have Facebook, or our We Are Change page, which is my day job. We put out 4 videos today, guys. So the selective outrage to me is just ridiculous, because I can guarantee you that Facebook isn't going to be taking down any of the Dr. Seuss pages. Now, they're monetized, baby. They're corporate. They're owned by large entities, making people money and making people believe certain things. Largely good things, by the way. Sharing, loving your fellow man. I mean, hey, who doesn't love green eggs and ham, right, guys? Who didn't watch The Grinch as a kid? I know I did. The original old school cartoon, when there was only a dozen channels on TV, you kind of look forward to that stuff every year. There was no internet just to look everything up. It wasn't information overload. And now that we have that, it's almost misused by the people who absorb this material and then create these outrage mobs. Look at, I'm not going to go deep into it, but look at the Conor McGregor situation that I've reported on in the past. Where's the selective outrage there? The Me Too movement should be all over that, but they're not. Why? Think about it. Well, he's worth billions of dollars to people, to WME Entertainment, to Disney, in fact, through ESPN. These are facts. Guys, if you like these videos, please hit that subscribe button. Share this stuff on social media. It's tough on the mean streets of YouTube. I have not gained as many subscribers as I hoped over the past couple weeks. I'm trying to put the grind on. I'm trying to bring you news that you're not seeing everywhere else with a very unique take, one that is not left or right. It's about right and wrong all the time here. I'm going to call out both sides. I'm going to call out the bullshit when I see it, and I think everybody needs to do more of that. So once again, guys, please subscribe if you're not subscribed. Share this stuff on social media. And thank you once again for watching. We'll be back with a lot more stuff real soon.